Take another photograph and document a life that's right. And ways consist of simple things, the days of black and white. And faces from a humble past.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talkin Guff podcast with me, your host, Ruben Django Pouch. As you can see, I was just fixing it there. We've got a beautiful Talkin Guff pillow that was a present from my brother Neil. Big up and thank you very much. It's fabulous. Another thing I got for Christmas, because now it's obviously the 5th of January, so happy Christmas and a happy New Year to all of you out there. I hope you've had a good one, and I hope it wasn't too depressing and shit like that, because let's be honest, sometimes Christmas makes you think about the things you don't really like thinking about, because it's sort of, yeah, let's have a great family time. What if you don't like parts of your family dynamic, and then that whole attitude just makes you depressed, and that does happen for people. And so I hope everyone had an alright one. I actually had an alright one, but I tell you, I got this banging pair of fucking Nike Air Max as a present. Like, these are beauts. They're my new dress shoe. Like, look at them. And then I bought myself with actually a 1-for-all voucher that I got from my bosses. Big up Paul, big up Brian. Look at them then as well. These are more seem a bit tougher. Like, these are more like a boot. They feel like they're the new Air Max 90 Terrascape, and the swoosh is a bit different, and there's a few things that are slightly different, and they're made from 100% recyclable material, so you can be conscientious wearing your recycled Air Max that were put together by a slave in a sweatshop in Vietnam. Oops. Anyway, yeah, it's 2023. I watched, actually, on the New Year's Eve, I just watched the Jules Holland Hootenanny, and it was actually fucking deadly. And because sometimes I go, oh yeah, this will be good, and I watch it and it's not good. This one was deadly. Gabrielle was on it, she was banging out her hits. So was Good Thing. Where have you gone? A good thing. Oh, where have you gone? Roland Gift from the Fine Young Cannibals, FYC, and he did that tune. And see, I didn't see it all, so he might have done other tunes, but I saw him do that tune, good thing, and their version. I forgot that the Fine Young Cannibals did a version of We Can Go On Together with Suspicious Minds. Like, that's actually my favourite Elvis tune ever. We're caught in a trap, I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? Because I love you too much, baby. So, anyway, I'm totally spazzed out there. But, yeah, it was really good. The Hootenanny was really good. And Roland Gift's a fucking cool motherfucker. Anyway, Netflix have recently added a documentary called The Imposter. It's a documentary I saw a couple of times about 10 years ago maybe, and I just thought it was one of those documentaries that I'll never forget, in fact. And I watched it at around the same time as I watched a documentary called Dear Zachary. And if you haven't watched Dear Zachary, you should watch it, but you should do so with trepidation, my friends, because it is the fucking most hardcore shit ever, and it's really sad. Like, it's really sad. Anyway, The Imposter. I watched it again when Netflix added it. It's like one of my all-time favourite documentaries, and it's about a young kid basically goes missing in San Antonio, Texas, and turns up a few years later in Spain, and basically, sort of spoiler alert, but no, you learn this in the trailer even, it's not him, effectively, and a whole fucking litany of madness transpires, and there's some fucking wild, sort of wacky characters in it. The mother of the kid that went missing, Mrs. Dollarheart, she's obviously on prescription meds, and then the daughter who is instrumental in him returning to the family, etc. She, at this stage in her life, looks like she's probably smoked a bit of crack or PCP or some shit like that. But man, oh man. And obviously then the guy, the imposter, is a total fucking sociopath, I suppose. And a compulsive liar. You couldn't believe one single word that comes out of this cunt's mouth. I can't remember his name. French dude. Anyway, if you haven't seen that shit, go and watch it right now. Stop watching this podcast and go and watch it. It's better than this podcast. Anyway, moving on. Who is Sophia Stewart is another little tidbit I want to touch on. Because Sophia Stewart is this... No, sorry, I'm going to edit that. Sophia Stewart is this woman in the States, who African-American woman, must be in her 50s, maybe 60s, who claims that she, in fact, wrote The Matrix and The Terminator and has tried to sue definitely the Wachowski brothers and Joel Silver and Warner Brothers and whoever else is involved in it. And she says that she answered an ad in a national newspaper in 1986 that the Wachowski brothers, who, bearing in mind, would have been 18 and 24 at this stage, had placed looking for manuscripts that they were going to turn into a comic and like a comic book. And she sent them a manuscript, never heard back from them. The manuscript was never returned. And then in 1999, 13 years later, seeing The Matrix, she thought that this was her work, basically. And she did fucking definitely try to sue them. And then there's this article that goes around every few years, apparently, that says that she won like $2.5 billion, which is not the case to my understanding. And I mean, I suppose I would like to think that she wrote it and that there was some big mad conspiracy afoot and potentially she was going to get a €2.5 billion payoff. I would like that. But I'm going to ask the question, is she a crazy person? I think maybe she might be a crazy person, God bless her, because she was saying other stuff like that, like NASA and government bodies such as that used her manuscript to figure out how to make flying cars and all this sort of stuff, or figured out how to capitalize on the technology that was on the fucking Roswell spaceship or whatever. This is what she's saying. And so she sounds like a bit of a mad joke. But there was a couple of interesting things that I heard about or found out as a subsequent to that. And one of them was like, that the Terminator, in fact, has been sued already. It was sued back in 1984 or 1985 by a guy whose name I forget, and I'm going to put it here. And he's a real prolific writer, science fiction writer, novelist, etc. And he had written 2 episodes of The Outer Limits, which was like a sci-fi primetime TV show in the 60s. One was called The Soldier and one was called The Demon with the Glass Hand. And apparently, and then he sued, and he got like some shit, like $70,000 in the 80s. He probably thought it was probably loads for him, you know what I mean? It was settled out of court for $80,000, and he now, if any subsequent publications or pressings, whatever the fucking appropriate word would be, for the Terminator movie, it says at the end of it, inspired by the ideas of that guy. And I wouldn't have known that had I not gone down the rabbit hole of this Sophia Stewart lady. And she also mentions this thing where she was like, and she's saying that in the States, one of the worst things about her situation was that it refused her black ownership. You know what I mean? Like, that was hers. She owned that, and the white establishment took that from her, and that happens often. And she mentioned the thing Black Wall Street, and I was like intrigued by that. I was like, what is Black Wall Street? And I googled Black Wall Street, and a thing came up called the Tulsa Massacre in the States, where like a thriving black community were basically massacred by the and it was like a thriving black community, and it was coined the Black Wall Street because there was loads of black business, loads of black prosperity, black wealth, and then these white lads just who were like deputized by the fucking sheriff and shit like this, like really heavy stuff, burnt 10,000 homes and businesses, made however many thousand black like African Americans homeless, destroyed their businesses. Like the place sort of just went to shit. and was hugely affluent, a lot of wealth and all, and just like when you think, and it was in the 20s, but and I don't think that could happen today, and I could be naive, and we'll talk about potentially why now in a minute, but when you, it's still like only 100 years ago, man, and you're like, that's malevolent, isn't it? That's a real hardcore malevolence there that has hardcore ramifications. And I did, yeah, and then something that came out of that I didn't know about is just like, is that Benedict Cumberbatch's family were slave owners back in the day, and potentially Barbados will be seeking reparations from the Cumberbatch family. In the Caribbean, basically, by the time slavery was abolished, loads of these families and these plantation owners and stuff like that were compensated by the British government. It's fucking mental, isn't it? That's mental. And now there could be potentially reparations coming out of Barbados on a big scale, because it's been just in 2021 there was made a republic. And if you've ever seen a documentary called Life and Death about when Jamaica gained its independence and became a republic, it's, and basically they're in the shits from a financial infrastructure point of view, and the WEF, no, not the WEF, excuse me, the EMF, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, they go in there, man, and they fucking ruin the place. Oh my god, they fucking destroy it. And so then my point there is, like, historically, like, if you're, it takes money to become a republic, and so that's probably potentially one of the reasons they're going down that reparations road as well, is because they need to finance their own independence, or they'll end up in the shits like Jamaica did. God bless them. Life and Debt is a fucking amazing movie. Debt as in like financial debt. And then, like, just to round up all the what you reckon section, I suppose, which, look, I'm going to talk about. Oh yeah, because the thing about, what I will say first and foremost is that, like, I've big plans, you know, for 2023, and I'm trying to be focused and determined and really work hard on the podcast and other creative endeavours that I would like to work on outside of just going to work and raising my young lad and all, and because that's important, you know. And so and I've obviously mentioned the cushion already. I'm going to change the aesthetic of the podcast, and I know I'm always saying, I've got big plans, so I'm going to do this, and I'm a procrastinating motherfucker, but I am trying my best, and sure, here I am. I'm keep chipping away, yeah. But yeah, the guy, the Idaho Stabber, do you know that lad? It looks like they've gotten a guy, they reckon, in November of 2022, 4 college students, 19, two of them 20, two of them 21, I'm pretty sure, were stabbed in their home in a college town in Idaho. I can't remember the name of them. And that college town is only 9 miles from another, across the border, across the state line, from the Washington University, right? And there was a guy studying criminal behaviour, I think, in the Washington University, who has now been arrested. He was arrested over a month later. He was arrested, in fact, on the 30th of December for that killing. And there is definitely, he is basically saying that he welcomes his extradition to whatever state he's been extradited to face the charges, because he's confident of exoneration. And then there's his DNA and stuff like that was at the scene. It's sort of mad, because he's a criminal. He's doing a PhD in criminal behaviour or something like that. Criminal, I think it's criminal behaviour, but I could be wrong. But it's definitely criminality or criminology or whatever the fuck. Criminal investigation. And it's just like almost like what if he pulls like a Fracture type vibe on it, where he's found some loophole and he'd be like, well, what can you do? But we're going to keep an eye on that story and see how it pans out over the next while. Because I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying like that the Tulsa Massacre is like a thing that happened 100 years ago, and it's not very long ago, and it's totally horrible and disgusting. But I don't think that could happen again. I was saying, was I being naive? And then I was there, because literally the day I edited the last podcast, because the question I'm trying to find here is like, do I play devil's advocate too much? Because I was sort of talking about the A thing, and then I was talking about when I was watching, I was also saying that the way in which Israel conducts itself is deplorable, and that Israel would have like the Anti-Defamation League and stuff like this to stifle what Israel are up to, but then to sort of shout from the rooftops like what Kanye West is saying or whatever. And I was saying, and also that Israel and the Anti-Defamation League and bodies like this, that they perpetuate the Holocaust, which like is never gonna happen again. Literally, the night I edited that podcast, there was this like conspiracy over in Germany, some sort of fucking fascist conspiracy to overthrow the government and install some de facto fucking monarch sort of lad, Chancellor Buzz, and who was some like aristocrat in his 50s or 60s. I was like, oh my god. Literally, it was uploaded and my mum was like, do you hear this? And I was like, what? No. What? No. And then, yeah. And I was thinking like, oh my god, that's exactly what I was saying would never happen. But I can't help then when I look at it, like it was a nothing. There was never going to be, it was just like 50 nut jobs or something, and half of them were in their 50s. They're probably going to go to jail for like the rest of their lives. And the other thing, I was like, I would say the ADL loved that. That was like fucking Dear Diary, jackpot, potential fascist conspiracy to overthrow the government of Germany. Yes, because they will use that to their advantage to perpetuate the situation. And I'm confident that I'm not wrong about that. I'm confident that that's not an anti-Semitic thing to say. But let's talk, right? And because someone was like going, someone I know was just like going, you talk about stuff when it's gone. And I was like, yeah, well, it's hard. I can't always do the podcast, and I still want to touch on the things that I found to be interesting. Do your own fucking podcast, mate. That's what I said to him. He just laughed at me. Again, like, am I playing devil's advocate too much or backing the wrong horse even? Because I was saying, yeah, you know, look, I don't, obviously, like, you know, Kanye saying that Jews run the world and all, and they don't, but I mean, I don't think that that's anti-Semitic, and I was just trying, and, you know, he would also be, have moved in the same circles as like fucking sociopathic fucking record execs who just happen to be part of the Jewish community, blah blah blah. You know, I'm not saying I agreed with what Kanye was saying, but just trying to play devil's advocate, I suppose, or have a conversation about it. And I said, oh, but I heard that he's after making it even worse, because he put obviously this like weird swastika inside a Star David on his Instagram, and I think he got thrown off Instagram, and I don't think he's back. But then he went on Alex Jones, man, I swear to God, in a fucking gimp mask. He's there with a gimp mask on. You know, Hitler wasn't that bad. He made good roads. He's a great public speaker and all. And even Alex Jones, and Alex Jones is a fucking tall fruitcake. And Alex Jones is just like, well, hold on there, I think what you mean to say is, he said, no, this is what I'm saying. Hitler was a good guy, man. He did some good shit. And it's just like, when Alex Jones is the voice of reason and you're sitting on InfoWars in a fucking gimp mask spouting like rhetoric, I suppose, you're fucked, mate. You're fucked. Like, the thing I don't understand is like, why is Kanye West saying that? Because Hitler is obviously like a villain. Like, literally, he's like a villain from a movie. No one's down with Hitler. You know what I mean? Except for nutcases like Romper Stomper weirdos. You're trying to be sensational or something, or create controversy, and then is the mask connected in some way because it allows you some level of anonymity? And it's not that we don't know that it's you saying that, but it's almost like you're at being anonymous to yourself. Then if I've got this mask on, I'm almost playing this part in a weird way. But then here's a really controversial question, and I'm not answering the question, I'm just posing the question. Is saying that Hitler like built good roads and was a great public speaker, is that anti-Semitic? Like, because he's not saying, oh yeah, Hitler was the best at killing Jews and I love him for that. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just wondering. Actually, that's a genuine question from me. Posed to you. Put the answer in the comment section. I fucking dare you. And then like another like way in which I was, because this sort of, I was like, oh fucking hell, because I'd heard about the Alex Jones thing, and then Christmas was happening and I was looking at my new Air Max and all, smoking Cali weed, and I was like, when I finally looked at the Alex Jones things, I was just like, I thought it was, and my mate was saying the same thing, I thought it was a piss take, and then I was just like, oh no, this is real. This is him actually saying that with a fucking gimp mask on InfoWars, and Alex Jones is in fact looking like the totally moderate part of the conversation. Fucked. And then fucking what's his name, Andrew Tate, has been arrested. I'm not a champion of Andrew Tate, and I didn't think when I spoke about him before that I was championing him. I was saying that I didn't think we could dismiss everything that he said based upon his negative attributes, and he does have them. Like, let me just say, for instance, like, out of what he says, I would say I agree with more than 50% of what he says. And when I say that, I mean I agree with the core value of what he's saying. I don't agree with the way in which he delivers it, etc., etc. And then, so maybe 30-40% I don't agree with. And also, the other thing I was saying about him was that we weren't, more importantly, the whole thing about this Andrew Tate fiasco is that we were refusing to ask why so many young men identified with the core values of the part that I didn't agree with, and that the sort of borderline, if not definitely potentially misogynistic shit, the traditionally masculine shit, the sort of tossery, vulgar from a financial point. Like, I don't like flashy cunts, you know what I mean? But so many young men were identifying with that, and I thought surely the more important part of this whole situation was to ask why and to try reconnect with those young men. But no, we just banned them. Why? Yeah, he's been arrested. Why has he been arrested? He, like, from what I understand, I've read a good few articles based on this. He was arrested in connection with alleged rape and human trafficking. This happened in Bucharest, just outside Bucharest, as far as I understand, in Romania. He's got a big €600,000 compound there, as well as other property, etc. That's where he keeps all his fucking supercars. And they found cash, couple of guns, and some other, like, knives, you know. Then how did it happen? Like, he just, like, sent this random unprovoked message to Greta Thunberg, who I don't really know anything about, I suppose. And I've talked about the climate change thing before. Like, I'm definitely sure that people are trying to take advantage of climate change, and that the infrastructure isn't being the green infrastructure isn't really being properly looked at, and, like, that lithium ion batteries are really bad for the planet, and the way in which we source that lithium ion is fucking really bad for humanity, etc., etc. But I also do think that we're totally destroying the world. But I probably think that there's no way out of it now at this stage, unless we all just, like, stop doing shit, stop consuming. Like, look, here I am, I'm drinking out of a plastic bottle. There's loads of them inside. But he sent this message to Greta Thunberg going, "Hello, Greta. I've got a Bugatti," whatever. He lists all the a few of his cars, and how bad they are, how much emissions they produce, and this sort of thing. And I actually would, and, like, if you send me your email address, I could send you a full list of my car and their emissions outputs and all. I was just actually cringing for the lad. I'd be like, bro, that's embarrassing to go on like that. Then the story was that the police saw from the pizza that he was eating that it was from a Romanian company, and they knew he was in the house, and then they raided the house because of that, which obviously, like, doesn't make much sense, because of course there's flight manifests and all, and the government just would know if you were in your house if they wanted to, and they obviously know where his house is and all. So I don't think that was true. In fact, it wasn't. I read in an article that part of it wasn't true, but then she quipped back, there was a couple of quips going left and right, small dick energy, and then this is why I always recycle my pizza boxes, which is pretty clever, I suppose. But so then, apart from that, how did it happen? They just fucking kicked the door down, bro. Arrested him and his brother and two other bureaus, top lieutenants apparently. They will all be held for 30 days in a Romanian jail or whatever the situation is, and be questioned, I suppose. Him, his brother, as I've said, and yeah, two female lieutenants, one of which apparently is Andrew Tate's girlfriend. They've seized multiple cars, including his Bugatti Chiron, or however you say it, which is worth 5.2 million motherfucking euro to buy a car. Seized property, and so, like, that's obviously a pretty tricky situation to be in, and I'm fucking really glad that I'm not in that situation. But the question I just keep saying, like, do I think this is for real? I suppose, because I would just be asking myself, like, if you were a human trafficker, would you be going on like that? Would you be putting yourself out into the public domain with your fucking, like, archaic and controversial views on women and the male-female dynamic if you were really like trafficking women. I just would have thought that that'd be a really stupid thing to do. And I don't like. You can say what you want about Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan. I don't think they're stupid. And the other thing is like then because there was women doing this is part of the thing I keep reading. I read in an article that the neighbours had said, oh, there's women in there all the time doing sex work stuff, and from my understanding, and because your man Andrew Tate's fairly open about this, he runs like an OnlyFans agency or whatever the situation is, where, and apparently this is like, I've been on OnlyFans, and sort of as soon as you go on it, you get sent a message, hey babe, shows your cock, we'll rate it. You know what I mean? This sort of stuff. And straight away I was like, well, that's obviously not that person who's like got fucking 20,000 followers and blah blah blah. It's obviously they just have someone in their employ. They're like, look, I'll give you 200 fucking quid a day to write to these fucking simps and get money out of them, basically. Get, you know, rate your cock for €20. I didn't pay to get my cock rated. I rated it myself. I took a photo and looked at it. It was like top notch. And so this is definitely a thing that happens, and it's not unique to Andrew Tate. It's like where they like whoever owns Babe Station. It's the fucking exact same premise. Get a stable of mots, give them a fucking computer, or get hot bitches. Get a lot of hot bitches. Take photos of them. Get them to do the videos and all, and then we'll just text the lads and go, listen. You know, hey babe, show us your cock, or send me a tip, do you want to unlock this video for money? And then we take 20% of your shit and you will get away with the rest. And you're just like, and that happens. It happens everywhere, apparently. And like I said, your man Andrew Tate would be fairly open about that, and I was just like going, would you say that if you were then actually like fucking putting guns to these women's head and making them do that? And another thing is, you don't have to. You just go on Instagram for fucking 5-10 minutes and it becomes quite plainly obvious that you don't have to put a gun to a woman's head to get her to shake her ass on the internet. You know, small waist, pretty face with a big bank. Give me a break, man. I seen this other thing where a guy, and I can't remember he was either like a writer, a journalist, or worked in the police business to some degree, and he was like, look, I profile lads. This is what I do. I go and talk to human traffickers, and I've been profiling these motherfuckers for years. And he's just like going, them two saps, they're not human traffickers. They don't have what it takes to be human traffickers. They don't have the fucking, like, they might be dicks, because I've profiled the types of people who do this shit. They're murderers and fucking lunatics and all. He's like, I don't buy it. There's no way them two lads are. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And I suppose then, in a situation like where I just would be interested to see how this whole thing plays out. I suppose I'd be interested. Do I think it's for real? I don't really know at this stage. I'm leaning towards no. I think it looks like a total setup. And then what if that was the situation? What if it was just like, oh, we don't like what you say. We don't like the way you say it. We're coming for your shit. Think you're out of the Matrix, mate? Let us show you. We're going to ass fuck you back into the Matrix. Like I said, I'm not necessarily being uber current the whole time, but those three things came to me in a consistent short period, like the Nazi conspiracy, the Alex Jones, Kanye West content, and the Andrew Tate thing. And it went boom, boom, boom. I was like, Jesus, man, maybe you're way off the mark. Maybe you don't know what you're at, because like people you're talking about are turning out to be fucking lunatics, and things you're thinking couldn't be, it's turned out that they are that way. And I was like I said, you know, maybe you're being naive, Ruben, or playing devil's advocate to the wrong people, or blah, blah, blah. But then I've decided that no, like I'm just actually trying to have the conversations that maybe not everyone wants to have, or just put myself out there, like, oh, that's interesting. What's the story with that? That's all I'm trying to do here. Just trying to talk a bit of guff. Anyway, look, let's hope 2023 is the fucking year, yo. I'm like, you know, I'm not saying, you know, this is my year, but I'm just like, for everyone out there, everyone who watches the podcast and everyone who doesn't, fuck them. Let's hope this is the year, huh? And if it's not, that's life, and we'll just keep on keeping on. I love you all to bits. Mwah.
Take another photograph and document a life that's right. And ways consist of simple things, the days of black and white. And faces from a humble past at one with the ground, the sound.